remember just a funny joke. I used to go to church just for the music, because I don't know. Some people do it. I guess it just wasn't there yet as far as the word part. And then I got into a place where, as I read the Bible and as I grew spiritually, I started enjoying the word too. I started just listening to. I like the scriptures too. So, but anyway, all of it is important. But you may be one of those people that just really enjoy the music ministry, and for the reasons that I'm probably going to talk about. So the importance of music ministry, one thing that's very important about it, it lifts heavy hearts. If you're feeling down, it will help you feel better. And we'll talk about that a little bit. It clears the mind. If you got a bunch on your mind, it's like when you get to church and they start playing the music and they just start the praise and worship service. Man, it just really, it's like you just go into a place where you're just not thinking about all of the stuff that's going on in our everyday lives. And then the last thing, I was gonna say clear the mind. It gives you like a boost in your spirit. It just does something to you. You just, I don't know, you feel like you can make it after you hear some good gospel, after you hear some good music. It's just like it does something to you. So that's it's some of the important things about it, and that's why we need to do that when we're feeling bad. But I'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm gonna give you 3 scriptures to just kind of some scriptural examples to help us look at people in the Bible, how they actually used music to help themselves feel better. So the first one I'll talk about is Saul. I'm going to read this 1 Samuel chapter 16, 23 if you want to go and check it out. It says David would play the harp. Then Saul would feel better and the tormenting spirit would go away from him. So Saul would feel terrible, or he will be feeling tormented. And it's just, and some of us go through it, and it may not be an evil spirit. Sometimes we're tormented by bills and by children and by just some of the things of life. And then start trying to put a damper on your faith. And all you need to do, or in some cases, you need to get into praise and worship and listen to some good music. And it just does something to you. It just helps you feel better. It just kind of break that bad. I hate to say it this way, but it kind of breaks that dark cloud from over your head. So anyway, that's a scripture example of what happened for Saul. David was a powerful man, but he was also a worshiper. All right, and y'all know David. We hear a lot of stories about David. Y'all that has been reading a lot. Man, there's a lot of stuff that David did. David was a warrior, but other than that, he was still a worshiper. And there's something in that, because some of us as men feel like we're too gangster to worship, but you better not be too gangster to lift your hands up and give God a praise. Don't get so hard up and so full of pride that you can't give God a praise. And I ain't saying you gotta be in front of folks. If you do, then that's good. But if you just by yourself and in your car, then I'm telling you, worship God and just break some of that stuff, all the load off your back and all the dark cloud that seem to be following you around. If you feel depressed, worship. All right, praise and worship. Tell God thank you and do it by faith. And when I say that, I'm saying doing it by faith is sometimes you may not have a reason to praise, but just out of faith, say, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I praise you and I thank you. And I'm telling you, you're going to start feeling better. At least that's what works for me. Now, there's another scripture where, let me just read it. It's 2 Kings chapter 3 and 15. Bring now me the harpist. While the harpist was playing, the hand of the Lord came on Elijah. So Elijah the prophet, he praying, and if I'm not mistaken, I want y'all to go look at it, 2 Kings 3 and 5, but I think he was getting ready to pray for somebody. And sometime before you go into prayer, it's like we told all of this luggage to the throne of God. We told all these problems and we go to God. And one thing we told to God, one of the heavy loads that we bring to God is we'll come in doubting, we'll come in depressed, and God doesn't like when we don't have faith. So play you some music, go into prayer, and like this prophet did, he said somebody, he knew it. I guess what I'm getting at, or what this scripture is alluding to, is when you know yourself and when you know you're feeling bad, you got to say, you know what, I'm in bad shape. I'm not feeling well. I shouldn't, I don't want to tell a person not to pray, but if you're in bad shape and feeling bad, put on some good gospel. Put on your favorite song. Start singing your favorite song. And I'll kind of get into the next scripture, but sing with it. And you might say, Richard, I can't sing. I sound terrible. Well, when you go to God, and hey, you might be by yourself anyway. You may sound terrible to other people, but God knows your heart. Open your heart up to God. Sing to God. You may sound terrible to the human ear, but I'm telling you, there's some people that, I'm going to talk about something real quick. There are some people in churches, they just know how to sing. And then you'll hear another person, let's just be honest about it, they don't sing so well, but you just feel something different about them. You feel that they're being genuine. And then there's another person that sings real good, and they just showing off and showing everybody how good they can sing. But then you got those people that just pour their heart out to God. And it don't sound like the person with all the talent, but I bet you God says, I bet God just takes in that song from that person that has the true and the genuine heart. And I'm not saying everybody that sings really well is not serious about what they're doing, because sometimes you sing really well because God gave you the gift to sing really well. Real quick, last scripture. About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God. They were in prison. They were in trouble. All right, just like some of us get. That's life. We go through it. Life has ups and downs. But anyway, they were in prison. They were praying and singing hymns to God, not to man, but to God. And then another thing, that's what I just mentioned when I was just talking. Don't worry about singing to people and how do I sound. This ain't for you. This is about you being honest and open and just pouring out your spirit and pouring out whatever you got, pouring your heart out to God. That's what this is about. Praying, singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening to them. And so some people gonna so happen to hear them, but I guess this is what I'm getting at. When you're ministering to people, that's fine, but you should be not just singing to people. When you have praise and worship musicians, play to God. Close your eyes if you have to. Get your mind off people. Pray to God. Sing to God. Lift your hands to God. A lot of times people don't worship because they're worrying about who's watching. But lift your hands to God. And whoever else, whoever listens or hears or sees, that's secondary. And suddenly there was a violent earthquake, and the foundations of the prison were shaken. At once, all the prison doors flew open, and everyone's chains came loose. That's in Acts chapter 16, 25 and 26. From Paul and Silas praying and singing, everybody else got free. And that's what I'm saying. Sometime if you do, y'all that's skilled or y'all that's not ashamed, sing out loud, pray out loud, and bless the whole house. My God, somebody need to hear you sing. You would be you might be David. All right? And somebody else might be in the position that Saul was in. And somebody might need you to sing that song to help them to feel better. And I'm telling you, I'm not saying what I've heard. I'm saying what I've been through, what I've had people sing, what I've had my friend on Facebook playing the keyboard and singing, and it blessed me and it helped me. And I've texted him and said, hey man, thank you. And I don't know what's the science behind it, but I just needed me a good song. I needed me some good worship. A call to action. What do we need to do, Rich? Stop worrying. I wrote in my notes, stop worrying and start worshiping. When you get those days, when you're having a tough day, when you feel like the whole world is on your shoulders, worship. Lift those hands. Sing that song. Listen to that song. Pray. And watch God change things. Last thing, I want to offer Christ to you. That's what I do. I hear people say bad things about Christians. I hear people say bad things about Christ. It's been good to me. God's been good to me. Jesus Christ has been good to me. I want you, even though you may not understand, I want you to say, God, I want to try this Jesus thing. And as long as you're honest about it, and as long as you just having a pure heart about it, God's going to accept that prayer and start helping you. I will see you on the next video, hopefully very soon. God bless you. If you have questions, throw them in the comments, and I will do my best to answer with one of 3 answers. I'll give you an answer, or either I'll say, I don't know, or I'll say, I'll get back to you. God bless you. We'll see you next time.